Even know what the fuck's going on. All right, hey, listen up. RPO SportsTalk, first episode. Man, it's been a long time. We've been thinking about doing this podcast here for a couple of years now. Super excited to kick this off. RPO SportsTalk stands for Real Fucking Opinions Sports Talk. Fucking as in PH, Fat Farm. Holler at me, 2000s era. If you know, you know. I'm sitting here with my guy, JB, at Mr. Backoff on Twitter. My man's active. Give him a follow. And I'm your host here with the most, Kyle, Coach K Whitman on Twitter there. So we're going to dive into some stuff here. We'll start with some headlines. What's going on in sports news? Warriors, they lock in their first win without Green. They saved the series, man. It's 2-1. They're back at home. You can never count out the Warriors. My gambling advice, you never bet against Steph Curry at home. That man's a demon. Any thoughts, JB?
I mean, like you said, Steph Curry, Steve Kerr era. I mean, that's probably the hardest team to beat at home in the playoffs. Steve Kerr's playoff record at home is incredible. I don't know the exact record. I saw it last night pop up on ESPN, but I think it was the second highest all time.
His playoff record?
Yeah, at home. And
yeah,
the second highest all time in NBA history. So naturally, they had to bounce back. That was kind of a bogus situation, to be honest. I think the team rallied nice. But in all honesty, they have the depth, though. Like, Andrew Wiggins just slotted in pretty perfectly for that team, I mean, Draymond, I don't think Draymond plays as big of a role on the floor as he used to. He's more of like a
he's a physical presence.
I know, but I'm saying like stats wise, right?
Oh,
like,
facts.
Like he's definitely like the backbone, the workhorse of the team, right? Like he's like a Dennis Rodman, right? Like he's not gonna put up crazy numbers, but he goes out there and makes some insane tough hustle play. Man, everybody rallies behind them, right? So I think the fact that the game went to home is the reason they won. If they would have played on the road without him, they would have probably got crushed, probably got smoked.
So what do you think about this next game?
Picked up the energy.
They take the next one. You like the Warriors or do you like the Kings?
So I think this will probably go 7.
Oh, shoot.
I think I told you, I texted you before the playoffs started. I said, this is a series to watch, man. I go, Warriors, Kings. It's probably the most slept on. Everybody's talking about the Grizzlies, Lakers. I mean, fuck that series. I don't really give two shits who wins that one. Both teams are mad annoying. But the Kings, they're so underrated. I mean, honestly, have you ever seen a more underrated playoff, like top 3 playoff team in recent years? I mean, they're so slept on right now.
So slept on. They got 4 guys, 6'9", that can shoot it. A legitimate big in modern basketball in Sabonis. And they match up perfectly against the Warriors. So I agree. I think this kind of goes 6-7. I'm not going to bet against Steph Curry at home in the playoffs with Kerr and those crazy-ass bandwagon fans they have there in Golden State. But if they can steal one in Sacramento, I think it's over. If they steal one in Sacramento, it's over.
They're going to have to, right?
They're going to have to.
In my opinion, I think the Kings will come out of this, but it's because they have Game 7 at home. That's why. I think every home team wins this series.
100%, like the beam, huh?
Well, I was about to say, yeah, both fan bases are so electric, man. I mean, remember when I texted you about the Bulls Heat play-in game, man?
Mm-hmm.
Empty seats everywhere, like
crazy.
That ain't gonna happen in Sacramento or up in Oakland or wherever the hell their stadium's at now for the Warriors, right?
Mm-hmm.
It ain't gonna happen up there. So.
All right. Good. Here we go. Hey, Devin Booker, he dominates last night. 45 points. The Suns lead 2-1. Kawhi Leonard did not play. He was a late scratch. Tyronn Lue, after the game, he comments and says that Kawhi's injury is very deflating. Holy shit. This is the NBA playoffs. Are we getting soft or what?
It's not even the playoffs. It's the regular season too. I mean, this is a guy that they went out of their way to go get. Quite a Lakers was pretty much done, and here they stepped in and they got it. Kawhi everything that he wanted, everything he needed. Brought in Russ too to get some extra help for a playoff.
Oh yeah.
And this guy don't want to play. He's the most unreliable superstar in NBA history. I can't think of anybody else that sits out more than him. I mean, you've got diva of all divas, LeBron, but at least this guy shows up and plays in the
I was just going to bring that up. Yep.
I mean, Kawhi Leonard, this ain't the first time he sat out in a playoff game.
No.
You know, we talk about guaranteed money, getting your money, yada, 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 right? If you get guaranteed money, you need to go play. I don't care if it's a slight ankle sprain. Whatever. Your ass needs to be on the floor. The fans
100%.
come out to see you, man. Like that. I feel so bad for that fan base, for that organization. Because, be honest, when that team was formed, who was better on paper than that team, man?
Nobody. Top to bottom. I mean, in the modern game, you got two of the best offensive scores, two of the best clamps. You add in Russell Westbrook, who's arguably one of the greatest facilitators of all time in NBA history. You were able to secure Bones Highland, during the trade deadline, a fantastic young player. An excellent bench. You still have Norman Powell, who scores 15 to 20 points off the bench. This team is so tough, but they just can't fucking seem to stay healthy. It's so annoying. I feel, like you said, you almost feel so bad for that fan base because they're so damn close.
Yeah, this is the
so
closest
close
they've ever been, man. They've been in the shadow of the Lakers forever, and when they pulled off that signing and then the trade for Paul George, man, I mean, if you didn't hear about the news before you went to bed, you woke up feeling like, holy shit, we're going to contend this year. Like, we're going to be in the NBA Finals if you're a Clippers fan. So, yeah, I feel bad for the fans, man. Honestly, Kawhi Leonard, fuck you, dude. You just continue to just find a way to not play games. It's insane to me. This guy's legacy will be it'll be tainted because of this. And this is a guy that's a world champion, and his legacy will be known as he doesn't play in the biggest games of the year.
Yeah. Any thoughts on Tyronn Lue? To me, it's so shocking. A guy from that era, late 90s, early 2000s, in an era where, they're hand checking, a little more physical era of basketball, right? Played with some killers, Kobe Bryant, and commenting that, his injury has been so deflating to the team. Who the fuck says this? What coach goes out there and says this? Isn't it time to rally the troops, try to, develop some sort of morale around, hey, next man up mentality, whatever it may be, whatever your BS that you believe in is. Nah, we're going to point the finger. We're down 2-1. His injury is deflating.
I mean, you can look at it both ways. For me, just the type of person I am, calling people out. If you're not doing your job, call you out, man. I think it's plain and simple. It's more or less just a call out. I don't think his intentions were to bring the team down, but more or less like, yo, Kawhi, we need you, man. Like, we brought you here for a reason. You're the centerpiece of this organization. You need to suck it up. You need to tough it up and go out there and play, man. What did LeBron play with throughout the finals and like the entirety of the playoff years ago? Didn't he have a broken hand or broken finger or something like that? I can't remember exactly what it was, but it's time to toughen up. If you're not able to, we don't want you here.
Yeah.
So I don't have a whole lot to say on it. Just because I don't know the context that he said it in, and like I said, it could go both ways. For me, if I were in his shoes, I'd be calling him out too. You need your ass on the court, man.
Ugh, he's so frustrating. Mets ace Scherzer suspended 10 games by the MLB for a substance on his hand. You know a little bit more about this than I do. You got anything to touch on with this?
I think it go. I think the big thing in all of this is we need to change the process of the appeal because there's no third party arbitrator in this case. The final decision maker in this is the MLB. So pretty tough to fight the MLB, who first of all are the ones that gave you the suspension, and go to them and appeal that suspension. So I think we need to look into that process as far as how to appeal it, because the Mets literally told Scherzer, take the suspension. You're not going to win this case. That's what sucks in all of this is you've got umpires who probably aren't the best at identifying substances or determining the difference between sweat and whatever, right? And all
the rosin
the rosin, because that's what Scherzer was trying to argue. It was sweat and rosin, So it's like it's very difficult in that moment to really determine, hey, this is a foreign substance. Why aren't we testing it? Why aren't we swabbing it? Why aren't we doing something? Why are we just banning a guy for throwing a guy out of the game? Give him a 10-game suspension. I mean, the thing is, it's a little bit easier for a pitcher to get a 10-game suspension. Imagine if they went out to Bogarts or something or Machado and he somehow had a foreign substance on himself, right? Like, I know fielders would never do that, but that's a bigger impact, right? From pitcher standpoint, what's he going to miss? 2 games, right? Two rotation games. But I think the biggest thing is that appeal process. The MLB is trying to control it. Need to get a third-party arbitrator. Need to take that glove. Once it's done, once it's over with, put it in a bag, get it sampled, whatever, right?
Send it to forensics.
Like he's
fucking CSI.
Scherzer has no case. He's got no case.
Yeah, how do you defend yourself in that situation?
When the MLB is the judge, jury, and executioner.
That's a bar.
The process has to change.
That's a bar. Yeah. Interesting. Last thing we got here in headlines: Davis versus Garcia tomorrow. They vow to break each other's jaws. They've been chirping for the past, 3 months. It seems like they pop up on my timeline every couple days. Be excited to see a good fight here tomorrow. You excited to see the young and Garcia get a shot at the big one? Any thoughts on this?
I'll tell you what, I'm getting into boxing more and more as
Don't say it.
As these influencers.
It's working.
I'm not referring to Jake Paul.
Okay. All right. Let's slow down. Pump the brakes.
But Garcia has made his presence pretty known on social media, Instagram, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I heard about him 5-6 years ago or something like that.
Yeah.
Coming out on social media, so it's interesting from that standpoint to see somebody that not only is on a platform like that making content, but is also able to just really kick some ass. I mean, this dude's hands are incredibly quick. 205 pounds, and this guy probably knocked me out within a round. I don't know how much he weighs, but
would I give you the round? I don't know. Could I give you a round against him? Could you run for a round? Do you think?
Not in my current cardio status. Probably couldn't run, but no, it'll be cool to see. I like now that these fighters are starting to get their money. So this is a big fight, obviously for him financially and for career wise. So rooting for the kid.
Yeah. Let's see the upset. Fuck it. Let's see the upset. I'll throw a couple bucks on him. Why not? That's all we got for headlines here, man. We're going to hop right into our show today. We didn't want to miss this. We wanted to get this out to you guys as quickly as possible. NFL mock draft, man. Next week, it's already here. I don't know about you. NFL offseason is just flying by. Tons of big headlines. Player drama in the draft. We had a huge trade. Number 1 moving. Star players swapping teams. Really interesting stuff happening in the NFL. So we had to give our thoughts on this mock draft. We've got one round, right? We're going to do the first round. We're just going to do 30 picks here. We're going to go back and forth. We're going to start with JB at the top. We're going to add trades into this. Okay, I think when it comes down to it, we're probably going to see 2 to 3 in the first round here, especially knowing some of these mid-round teams are looking for a generational talent at quarterback. Even though maybe we don't believe those guys should be picked that high, shit, you know what's going to happen. Because in order to win this game, you got to get that guy. So we're going to have trades in here. Am I missing anything on this mock draft?
No.
Okay, so this is going to take a little bit here, so we're going to get it cracking here. I think you're going to be number 1 on the board here, Carolina Panthers.
Yeah. All right. So, I was very confused on Carolina's decision to move up initially because for me, if you're going to move up that far, right, from 9 to 1, you got to have a guy in mind, right? And for me, it was very low confidence. But now I'm starting to understand their play. I think it was more about buying time. And because now they have the option to pick, between Young, Stroud, obviously those are their 2 decisions, right? There's nobody else on their draft board other than those 2. It's stupid to look at other folks. So for me, I think it was to buy time. They needed to look at more film. They needed to do more as far as interviewing the players, all that kind of stuff, right? Because I don't think folks realize how important that interview process is. I mean, I don't know about you, but you had to interview for your job, right?
100%, yeah.
Right?
Of course.
Everybody has to interview for their job. So I think they wanted more time to get that process done, just break down more film. So for me, I think they're going with Bryce Young.
Bryce Young off the board.
Bryce Young to the Panthers. If you ask Kyle a few weeks ago, I was all about CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud's their guy. But in my opinion, I think the big games matter, and Bryce Young has played in more big games and has showed up. He's won his conference. He's been to the national championship. CJ Stroud has never won his conference, let alone his side of the conference. Right? Got to the playoffs.
Is that a Michigan flag behind you?
Didn't really deserve to be in the playoffs. Got in the playoffs because other teams lost, right? Necessarily had really 0 wins that were impressive this past year. So by default, kind of got there. Played okay against Georgia, but still lost, right? So CJ Stroud in his career at Ohio State has 0 meaningful wins, and I think that matters in a pick like this.
Woo! I love it.
You're on the clock at number 2.
At the number 2 pick, the Houston Texans. Okay, they need a quarterback. I don't care what everybody's saying about it. They're not sure about the top 2 prospects. Listen, they're not rolling with Davis Mills. Even though I like Davis Mills, I think he does a fine job. The roster is just dreadful. We're talking about a team that has so many holes across the board. Normally, you would take best available, but you still don't have that guy. And I think you're still getting a very damn good prospect here at number 2. Quite honestly, I was thinking that this team all along was hoping that this guy would be falling to them. I think this is a dream scenario. These guys are going to take CJ Stroud, quarterback out of Ohio State. I think he gives you pro-ready frame. He's shown that he's able to toss that thing. His end of season last year was incredible. I think he does have the ability to make some plays with his legs. And knowing that, yes, they do have Laramie Tunsil to defend that edge for them, but the rest of that offensive line is just dreadful. They're going to need a guy that's a little more durable. I think they were deathly afraid that Bryce Young would be falling to them and that they would have to select him. I think this worked out well for both ends here. So, CJ Stroud, number 2, Arizona's on the board.
Nice. It's both those guys it's 1 and 2, right? It's just a matter of who's going to go 1, who's going to go 2. So,
yep.
Yeah, good stuff. All right. So on the board is Arizona Cardinals, and this is where the first trade happens.
Na-na-na.
So I thought about this for a while, and who really was going to make a splash and benefit the most from jumping up. Everybody's talking about the Colts. They're sitting at 4, moving to 3. For me, though, I don't think that they have as much to offer as this other team jumping. So
Okay.
for me, I think this is where the Tennessee Titans come in and they jump a division rival in the Colts to pick 3 and get the quarterback that they want. So obviously they trade up for a quarterback. Doesn't make sense for them to trade. So this is where our first trade happens. Give it a sec here. I don't know why it's not. Let me do it. There we go. All right. So Tennessee Titans are now picking 3rd. Cardinals drop to 11. So for me, I thought about this long and hard, right? This is a team that is going to absolutely rebuild. And the reason why, for me, if I'm the Cardinals, right, and I'm going to pull this trade and swap with the Titans, you got to give me Derrick Henry. You got to give me Derrick Henry. And for me, I think the Titans, they'd be more than happy moving on from Derrick Henry, right? It's not a running back league anymore. Right, as we can see, best running back in the league for how many straight years, and where's it gotten them? Right, you have to have a quarterback. So for me, they're in complete rebuild mode. They're gonna probably take a shot on a guy that could potentially be in his prime, a top 3, top 4 quarterback if he develops. So for me, I think the Titans jump up to go get Anthony Richardson.
Woo! Sheesh.
Just because there's more upside to Richardson than Levis. I think Levis is more pro-ready. He'll play and he'll contribute earlier on than Richardson, but the Titans are looking long-term.
I can hear the Tennessee Hillbillies right now. AR-15! AR-15!
AR-15. So they jump up to number 3 to take away Anthony Richardson from their division rival Colts. I think that's the big motive in this one. They want to take a piece away from a division rival. I mean, at the end of the day, they had a division rival just take C.J. Stroud. They've got Trevor Lawrence down in Jacksonville. They've got to go get somebody for the future. They're not a now ready team. So for me, it makes sense to get the guy with the higher upside. So Anthony Richardson to the Titans.
Hell of a move there, man. Hell of a move there. I love the fact that you're bringing up the division. Listen, more than likely, you got to win that damn thing, right? So
you're gonna have to.
So knowing that your opponents are taking top tier quarterbacks, you got to jump in on that as well. All right, Colts are on the board at 4. I think this works out pretty well. Jim Irsay, he's been said to already have a guy in mind. I think when we remember the history of Colts quarterback, big frame, white boys that can sling it. I'm staring here at Will Levis. He falls down the 4. We didn't have to move anywhere. Fantastic. Give me Will Levis at the 4 spot. Will Levis, let me give you a quick rundown on him. Ceiling, Aaron Rodgers. Floor, Blake Bortles. Scares the hell out of me, but you got to do it.
Yeah. Like we said, I mean, you're looking at the Texans just taking C.J. Stroud, Titans just taking Anthony Richardson, and Lawrence already down in Jacksonville. They have to go quarterback, and for me, I thought this was their guy all along that they were looking at. So this is their dream scenario. I think that again, the Titans just trade up because they don't know if Richardson's going to fall them at 11. So, but good pick.
Yeah. Do you think if Richardson doesn't go at 3, let's say that in your scenario, right? We don't get a trade up. Let's say Cardinals take whatever best available player. Yeah. Do you think Richardson falls?
I do not know because you're going to see here. my scenario because so
Mhm.
far what we've picked has been my mock draft.
Yeah.
So I had Bryce Young going first, C.J. Stroud, Anthony Richardson, then Will Levis. So I had all 4 quarterbacks going off the board in the first 4 picks. So,
Mhm.
which leads me to Seattle. Seattle was hoping that they were going to have one of these 4 guys slide to them, right?
Mhm.
And it didn't happen. It didn't happen. I don't think it's worth them trading up because they're not really 100% sure if they're on the Geno Smith path or if they're in a rebuild mode, right? Like they got a bunch of weapons, and like if they were ready to rebuild, they would have dumped Metcalf, they would have dumped all these guys, right? So I don't think that they're really decided on what their future is, and I think this determines what they're going to do. So for me, now the fact that all 4 quarterbacks are off the board, they go best available. It makes sense. They made the playoffs with who they have, so they go Will Anderson Jr. and add some extra, pass rushing presence on the team that they desperately need, especially in the division that they play in. Right. I mean, we're talking about, Kyler Murray can roll out of the pocket. This guy's going to go chase him down. Right. So for me, they go best available. They were hoping for a quarterback, but they stay put at 5 and they go best available at Will Anderson Jr. And this is still an A+ pick at 5.
Mhm. Absolutely, man. Will Anderson falling to 5. Arguably, if you had a quarterback, this is best available. I love it. Fantastic pick there by Seattle. Pete Carroll getting another dog. My God, Pete Carroll, man. They might not ever get rid of Pete Carroll.
Yeah. My notes on that were Seattle, because this is who I picked in my mock draft. Seattle needed a QB, but no one worth drafting at 5. They just go with the best available, which is still an A+ pick.
All right. Beautiful. Beautiful. So we got Detroit here, huh? Detroit Lions, who turned it around last year, surprising people with a young roster. Jared Goff's panning out. Last year they selected who? Big boy from Michigan, I remember. I think this is a no-brainer. Listen, a lot of the drama around this player this offseason. Did he initiate the drag racing? Did he kill someone? I don't really know. I don't know the context. Okay. I saw some of the video. He's a stupid kid. He made a mistake. He was involved in something. I think those allegations are kind of dwindling away and dropping from what I'm understanding. I don't think this guy cares. We're talking about a psychopath head coach willing to do whatever it takes. Mr. I'll bite your kneecaps if I need to. My kind of guy. They're going to take Jalen Carter here. The Detroit Lions take Jalen Carter to pair up with Hutchinson.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Watch out, NFC North. This is scary.
Yeah. This was exactly who I took at 6 too. I put, despite all the off-field drama, the Lions take the plug Jalen Carter. They needed help on defense, especially with how their offense is shaping up. Time to make a run. And I also put a little sub note on there that putting him next to somebody like Aiden Hutchinson and putting him in a locker room with a guy like that, it's only going to help him out as far as not just on the field, but off the field too. They will get close. They'll build the relationship. It's a good guy to be around. So great pick,
100%.
great pick. We got the Raiders on the clock, and this might be, I don't know, because I haven't seen your mock draft. This might be one where you're like, interesting. So for me, right, the Raiders are just so confusing, right? They have this beautiful brand new stadium that we went to in February. Oh my God, it's
incredible.
I wish the Bears could play at a stadium like that, right?
Incredible.
They're in Vegas, exciting, money everywhere, people betting, gambling, right? Like it's a great place to be. And by the way, I hope the A's land Vegas. That would be awesome.
That'd be dope
for that franchise. They've been looking to move for a while. But back to football. For me, this one's a little confusing because you don't really know what they're trying to do. Are they trying to rebuild? Are they they just replaced Derek Carr with Derek Carr? You know what I mean? It's just another Derek Carr. So
game manager.
They still have a lot of their pieces around. So for me, I look at who they have to play. right? I think that's, for me, that as if I was a GM, I'd be picking that way. So you're talking the Chiefs, you're talking the Broncos, you're talking the Chargers, right? You got to play those guys 6 times a year. You need to win that division to probably make the playoffs. So for me, when you think of the Chiefs, who do you think of?
The superstars.
What player? What player?
Mahomes.
When you think of the Chargers, who do you think of?
Herbert.
When you think of the Broncos, who do you think of?
Let's ride.
So you just listed 3 quarterbacks, right? For me, you need someone to slow them down. A guy like Christian Gonzalez is one of those guys that plays incredible zone coverage across the field. For me, this is I don't want to say a no-brainer for them, but this is who they need to really slow down that division a little bit and give themselves a fighting chance at the end of the day, because I think they're going to ride it out with Garoppolo. But this is a guy that they can still build with in the future. So I think they go Christian Gonzalez here. They solidify that defense. They haven't had a top 10 defense since the early 2000s.
Yeah.
So they need to get back to the nitty-gritty of just playing Raider football. I think this guy's their man. They're going to go Christian Gonzalez at 7.
Yeah, that's a wonderful pick. Yeah, he jumped up charts after the combine. I think this guy ran 4.3 or something crazy. He's got a long frame, just a freak athlete. When you think about the Raiders, they're always sold on these freak athletes. Yeah. Don't even bring me back to this man named Darius Hayward-Bay. Al Davis is one to always reach for athleticism. So, excellent pick. I do see that happening as well. I see him going there. Atlanta at 8 here. Okay. Again, another team, so many holes. They have been upgrading that defense. Okay. They signed an all-pro safety in Jesse Bates. I'm excited to see what that team can do moving forward. I think they got some good production out of some low-rated rookies last year. Tyler Algier had a pretty solid season. I know from a lot of mock drafts, I'm seeing a guy by the name of Bijan Robinson falling here. I don't think that's the case. Okay, I don't think that's the case. We see what this franchise is trying to do. Put together a sound defense, control the game. They got a rookie quarterback. I think they're going to run the shit out of the ball, play great defense, keep themselves in games. I think they go with Tyree Wilson. He's best available player here, edge rush, to help with that pass rush.
It's our first one that we didn't agree on.
Send it.
That's interesting. Do you want me to tell you who I picked?
I don't want to know. Nah, you can say it. Who'd you have there? Did you have Bijan?
I had Devin Witherspoon.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
They still looking to replace Jeff Okudah, man. That's on the Lions now. So I thought that was a big hole for them. But I could see both. I could no,
Okudah went there.
Or my bad. My apologies. Sorry. I flipped that one around.
It's all good.
They were looking though to pair him with another solid corner, and I thought Witherspoon was that guy, but I could see both for sure. I could see both.
You're right though. They're looking to upgrade that defense, no doubt. They're all in on it.
We're to our boys, the Bears, and I think this is where the Bears wanted to pick all along. I don't think they wanted one. Because for me, they knew exactly what they needed, right?
I mean, they'll take one.
They'll take one. But I don't think they wanted it, right? They're looking to build some draft capital, sure, whatever. Shout out Lovie Smith.
Shout out Lovie Smith. Hey, is he getting a statue at Soldier Field?
He better, man.
Jesus Christ.
If we win a Super Bowl because of this pick, we better. So for me, I think this is roughly where the Bears wanted to land, because I think all along there was a guy in mind. I've been looking at this for weeks, months now, who the Bears need, because for me, I didn't want Justin Fields, but I know the organization's going to go forward with him, right? So I have to accept that. I have to learn to live with it. So for me, I'm going with somebody that's going to help Justin Fields out in the long run, right? This is a guy that's constantly scrambling out of the pocket. if we're talking about developing him into a franchise quarterback, a top 3, top 5 quarterback in the NFL, we got to keep him in the pocket. We got to throw for the most part, every Super Bowl winning quarterback stays in the pocket, right? That's just the history of the NFL. So for me, they're going to go offensive tackle here. They have to solidify the O-line. A lot of speculation if they're going to go D-line, O-line. I think that Jalen Carter's off the board. It makes it easy for the Bears to go O-line. There's a bunch of great options, right? But there's one guy that played in their backyard for a long, long time, right? So for me, I think they take the big man from Northwestern. This is some guy they easily, watch, recruited. This is somebody, again, played in their backyard. He's going to fit in extremely well with this offense. Give the Bears exactly what they need. A big boy on that offensive line. There's nothing like being able to, go out and watch a guy play all throughout his collegiate career in your backyard. So for me, this makes sense. He's kind of homegrown. The Bears really have been scouting him forever. And they know what they're getting with him. I think that's the most important thing. They know exactly what they're getting with him.
100%. And another thing that just had on that, it seems as though the Bears have a infatuation of bringing guys back to Illinois or homegrown talents. We've seen this time in and time out, and especially on their current roster. Cole Kmet played at St. Viator. We've got Robert Tunyon, who we just signed, right? Played in McHenry. TJ Edwards played down the street over here in Lake Villa. Who else? You bring in Peter Skoronsky. I mean, Jack Sanborn, Lake Zurich. I mean, the list goes on and on. You're going to have 5-6 guys that are from Illinois here. That actually makes sense. By the way,
I'm curious who you're going to have the first pick.
Yeah, I was going tackle. I was going to go probably Paris Johnson or Skoronsky. I think it's a no-brainer. I agree, 100%.
Toss up between the two. I just think that with, again, being in the backyard, they've seen this guy play.
Yeah, I mean, like I just said, I mean, that's what the Bears do. That's such a Bears move. Skoronsky, Chicago. Like, come on. He's playing for the Bears for the next 20 years.
The Eagles are on the clock. Eagles. Okay. It's crazy to see a team that's so stacked, middle of the draft here in the first round, right? Just want to double check something here really quick. God. All right. Even though I hate to say this because I traded this guy in fantasy football. Yes, I traded the 101. I did. It's the Eagles at pick 10 here. I think Bijan Robinson being on the board here, it's a no-brainer. They just let Miles Sanders walk. He had a fantastic season. One of the best offensive lines in the NFL. They love to run the football. They love their RPO. You got to establish the run. A workhorse that you can have on this roster with Jalen Hurts for the next 10 years. That scares the ever daylights out of it. This will make me sick if this happens. Truly, this will make me sick. But Bijan Robinson, arguably the best running back prospect we've had since Saquon Barkley. Cut from the same cloth. Very explosive, athletic running back. 3-down back. Yeah, that's going to be a tough one to watch. Christ. I did also have them taking Robinson. And my notes are, word for word, Eagles are idiots and they take a running back at 10 instead of trading down. They're a win now, so I see why they want him, but they could have traded down.
Yeah, they probably could have. It's just such an Eagles move.
But they can't risk it either, right? Like,
yep, it's win now.
They need running back so bad. Okay, take him at 10, sure.
I mean, think about
a little bit later, but don't,
Yeah,
you got to get the guys. So
listen, of 95% of these players in the draft, Bijan Robinson is so much more ready than these guys. I mean, he is just leaps and bounds above the rest.
All right. So we now have the Arizona Cardinals on the clock. After making that trade with the Tennessee Titans.
Traded
So
down.
so
Wow.
for me, Cardinals, right? They in this trade scenario, I have them getting Derrick Henry, right? I think the Titans just offload him, get rid of him. So we've got the Cardinals with, the combo of Kyler Murray, Derrick Henry. I think they want to add some more explosiveness to that offense. They want to give Kyler Murray some weapons, and you go with the best wideout on the board, so they go Jackson Smith.
Damn. Damn.
Which is part of the reason why I think this trade could potentially happen, because they want him and they know they can get him at 11.
So you let DeAndre Hopkins walk, replace him with Jackson Smith?
There you go.
Yeah. I think Jackson Smith, he reminds me of Michael Thomas, right? Physical frame in the slot. Not a burner, not going to take the top off, but going to be so damn consistent, and you could just run your offense through him. God, that's a great pick. That's a great pick. Okay, Houston. I was hoping he was going to fall to Houston. Oh, that's killer, because Houston, let's remember, at 2, they took C.J. Stroud. I was hoping to bring that duo into the NFL. So here we go. It's time to flip the script.
I love it.
And this is what we do. Okay? We just drafted a generational talent at quarterback. We've got Laramie Tunsil at our left tackle spot. I think we're okay with the O-line, even though I'm staring at this Paris Johnson. God, I love Paris Johnson Jr., man. I think he looks like a 6'8" Jonathan Ogden anchor. But he's going to play left tackle for you. I love this kid too, though. Devin Witherspoon. He just reminds me of Jalen Ramsey. A prick who's going to be in your face, talk shit, physical in the run game when need be, and clamp you up. He loves competition. Let's get them a number 1 cornerback.
So you're going Devin Witherspoon.
Devin Witherspoon. Again, got to take best available. You're a team with so many damn holes. Let's start adding dudes on that squad.
That's crazy. So you took my guy that I actually picked for them with Atlanta. When you picked Tyree Wilson, I had him falling to 12 to the Texans.
Okay.
Because he was the best available. I had them the best available. So, but I could see anything happening, right? So now we have the Jets on the clock, and boy, I'd say they're pretty happy with their choices right now. Hopefully the Rodgers thing pans out, because I think they're going to pick based off of Rodgers, right? Off of the idea that he's going to be there.
Yeah.
They have the talent. They have a great defense. They've got young talent at wide receiver. They're signing folks too, right? They're explosive. So for me, I think, Rodgers might be getting a little bit older. You might want to protect them a little bit. He doesn't have the legs he used to have at one point. So for me, they go take the best available. And this is actually the guy that I had them picking in my mock draft. It's Paris Johnson.
It's a hell of a pick. Hell of a pick. Super athletic. They've done it before.
So New England is now on the clock, but I will say in my draft, this was a trade. I don't know if you want to go with that or if you want to just go with New England staying here, because I did have the Bucks trading up to get this pick.
I'm not. I'm gonna call you off. Okay.
Fair enough.
New England at 14. Who's their DC? At the end of the day, it's Bill Belichick. I don't care who the fuck they call as DC. It's Bill Belichick. He's running this defense. We got a guy here, Joey Porter Jr. Okay? If you don't think Bill Belichick knows about a Joey Porter and wants to add this kind of talent on his roster, you're crazy. He loves him, a number 1 cornerback. Let's take him.
Joey Porter, huh? Okay.
Yeah.
That's a little higher than I thought. think for him, but I could see it. I could see it. I could see it with Bill Belichick for sure. I had them swapping with the Bucks, dropping down to 19. I won't discuss who the picks were, but irrelevant this point. But now we have the Packers on the clock. I think this is a fucking no-brainer who they pick here, right? They know who they're losing, and they know who's going to take over at quarterback, right? It's gonna be Jordan Love. What's the best thing you can do for I don't want to say a rookie quarterback, but someone that's slotting in, is give him weapons, right? So I think they go out, they go get the best wide receiver that's on the board. It's Quentin Johnson. Help him out in his development, progressing. I think that's a great pick. He's kind of, to me, he is a Packer. I don't know why. When I think of Quentin Johnson, he's just like a Packer wide receiver. So they go Quentin Johnson, and it helps Jordan Love develop. The Packers have had two quarterbacks in the past 30 years. They're hoping the same thing happens with Jordan Love. Give him some more weapons. Let him develop.
Don't you love, man, the idea of having, 6'3" Christian Watson, pair him up with another big-ass, super athletic freak, Quentin Johnson. Holy Christ. This really sucks as a Bears fan, man. The Lions get Jalen Carter, and these guys get another super talented weapon. Oh, my God. Okay, Washington. We're at 16 here.
This is where I had Joey Porter going.
Not a bad one. Not a bad one. I think Washington, last year they missed out on old boy Young playing for the majority of the season. They're going to get back one of the premier pass rushers. We're talking about a team that loves their O-linemen. Okay, I think they're going to let Sam Howell rock this season. See how he does. He does have some draft capital invested in him. Ultimately, I think they may be in the sweepstakes of potentially securing a big name quarterback out of next year's draft. And there's a nice surplus of heavily rated quarterbacks coming out. So I think you prep for that scenario. A team that loves O-linemen, again, we talk about the Hogs back in the day. They obviously valued Trent Williams at the time. Players like that. They're going best available. Broderick Jones here out of Georgia. Offensive tackle.
Nice. Prepare for the future. Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Steelers are on the board. And for me, there's been a lot of talks about wide receiver for the Steelers. I don't see it as the immediate need. I look at who they go up against 6 times a year. Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson, and Joe Burrow, right? Those are 3 elite players right there. Right? Need to slow them down a little bit. You can see it says Pitt needs right there. You can see the position, cornerback. For me, I think Deontay Banks is a no-brainer for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Gives them some much added help to a defense that is pretty bad. I don't want to say pretty bad, but they're beat up. You don't really know what's going to happen as far as injury-wise with that team. They get a lot of injuries, but I think this guy helps slow down some of the passing attack in their division. Smart pick, safe pick for the Steelers. Nice. Lions are on the clock again.
My God. And look at the best available. Oh, boy. With their first pick, they selected Jalen Carter. Last year, they selected Aiden Hutchinson. Let's go crazy. Let's go absolutely mental here. Give me an edge threat that ran a 4.39, I believe, at the combine. Nolan Smith on the opposite edge of Aiden Hutchinson and your 3 technique of Jalen Carter. I don't think anybody wants to play the Lions this year after that.
Jesus.
Holy Christ.
That would be insane. All right. So we got the Bucks on the clock. And in my original mock draft, I did have them trading up, swapping picks with the Patriots to go get Broderick Jones. So for me, they do need they need a tackle, right? They need offensive help as much as they can get. So I think they just go take the next best available, which is Darnell Wright. I don't want to say they're thrilled with the pick, but again, it fits a need for their team. They would have rather had somebody else, but in this case, they get stuck with Darnell Wright, which isn't a bad pick. There were better options, but you never know. So I'm going with Darnell Wright from Tennessee.
And Seattle's on the clock again.
Mm-hmm.
Seattle earlier took Will Anderson for Pete Carroll's defense. Okay, Seattle. They've been rocking with this duo for quite some time. I think we're going to see one of them walk. I think we're going to see a quarterback eventually move on in a couple years here. I think Tyler Lockett is out the door here soon. So I think they're going to try to prep for that spot. You pair this guy alongside a number one, and you might have something again. He kind of reminds me of a Tyler Lockett, right? An incredible athlete coming out of USC, Jordan Addison, won the Biletnikoff his junior year. He's got a lot of promise, but undersized. I don't think he's a true number one. I think he's a fantastic number two option. Seattle takes Jordan Addison.
Yeah. No, that's a good pick. For me, I think if they take wide receiver, though, at this pick, and I did have him taking wide receiver with this pick, I think they're committed to Geno at that point.
Yeah.
I think they're committed. If they're going to go spend the time and go get a wide receiver, they're pretty much committed to Geno. So I think this is a good pick for Geno's career. Especially a guy that throws as much as he does. This is a great option.
Absolutely.
I think it could go either way. I think they could go Addison. I think they could buy into the hype on Zay Flowers. It's going to go either way. But I think both will be there by the time they pick.
Yeah.
For sure. All right. The Chargers are on the clock. And it's funny because they're in a situation where when I think of the Chargers, for some reason I just think of old, right? I just think of old. I don't know why. I just think of old. Especially
their skill positions.
Especially yes, at their skill positions. I just think of old, right?
Yeah.
So I think they need to get a little bit younger, a little bit more explosive. Give Herbert somebody that can go catch a slant and turn it into a 60, 70-yard gain, right? So for me, I think they buy into the hype. They go get Zay Flowers, who, my God, have you ever seen this guy's film? It's incredible. He's playing a little bit weaker of a conference, but I think he adds especially in a division where you have the quarterback level that you do, you need to give this guy weapons, Herbert, because he's a generational talent. Get him another wide receiver that can make plays. Who knows how long Keenan Allen's going to be around? That guy's like dirt at this point.
So many injuries. My God.
So I think they take next best available wide receiver. It's either Flowers or Addison. It's one of the two that's going to probably end up landing there by the time that they're on the board. So Baltimore is on the board.
Baltimore. Okay. What do we know Baltimore for?
Defense. Linebackers. Well, I guess overall defense, but they've had some pretty good linebackers and pretty good safeties.
Overall defense, okay. They just let Calais Campbell walk this offseason. Again, he was getting aged. It's time to let him go. I think they bring in their new toy. Big physical frame. A kid out of the area here, Barrington, Illinois. Played over at Iowa, had a great season this past year, not even receiving every single snap count. Was top 10 in rush percentage and as well as QB rushes. So I think they take Lucas Van Ness. He's going to fit the mold of that stout defensive end position that they would normally have there in that 3-4 look. I think they just solidify a spot that they're kind of lacking at this point.
Okay. So that's a good pick. For him to still, for his level of talent and for him to still be there, it's crazy. That's a fantastic pick for the Ravens. All right, Minnesota's on the board. Now, this is an interesting one for me because it could go one of two ways. I don't think it's going to go the one way. I think it's going to go the draft way. There's been speculation that the Vikings might be interested in acquiring Trey Lance from the 49ers to replace Kirk Cousins, because Kirk Cousins' contract's done at the end of this year, and I don't see a reason to re-up it. I mean, he's an average quarterback. He'll get you to the playoffs, but he ain't going to win you a Super Bowl, right? So for me, I think they look at Trey Lance and they go, okay, he's a young quarterback. We don't have much film on him in the NFL. He hasn't played much, right? Coming off an injury. Do we go ahead and take a chance on a guy with very little NFL film? Or do we go get a guy like Hendon Hooker that, is also recovering from an injury but can redshirt this year, back up Kirk Cousins, get a lot of valuable experience backing him up, and then come out, next year and slot in pretty well with a young team, might I add, at receiver with Justin Jefferson. I know Dalvin Cook's a little bit older, but I think him and Justin Jefferson could pair up pretty well. So for me, I don't think they take the gamble on Trey Lance. Because again, there's not enough film on him. You don't really know what you're getting. And I think they go get Hendon Hooker. He redshirts. He sits behind Kirk Cousins. He learns a lot. I think it's the best pick that they could go get right now.
Is it me, or does he kind of remind you of Teddy Bridgewater?
He does, but a little bit better of an arm.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, we remember Teddy when he first came out. I remember, he threw with gloves on in college. He had a good career. And then he decided to throw without gloves at his pro day. And it was abysmal. I mean, he was missing guys on routes on air. It looked horrible. So, very reminiscent. Very reminiscent. Can make plays with the legs.
And I just don't think that, because in order for the Vikings to pull off that Trey Lance trade, I think they'd have to give that pick up, and I just don't see that pick being worth Trey Lance.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they stay put. I think they go get Hendon Hooker and they get the quarterback of the future. Next Dante Culpepper maybe.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see what the Niners are looking for in that trade for Trey Lance. Is it 2 firsts? I mean, I don't know. It'd be interesting.
They're not picking in the first round, so I think they're looking for that first round pick.
The crazy thing is, my God, I mean, we're going on 3 years with Trey Lance already. Is he worthy of that? I mean, obviously the Niners want to recoup because they went all in on Trey Lance, but who's willing to pay that cost? I'm not sure. So we got Jacksonville here. Turned it around all last season, right? We got a team that can really compete. That incredible comeback against the Chargers. A team in which they really went through the tight end spot. Okay, Evan Ingram. I think at 28, he's going to be 29 years old by the time the season starts. For some reason, I'm looking at Trevor Lawrence throwing to a big physical tight end for the next 10 years. I think Notre Dame's Mike Mayer, if he falls down to this spot here, 24, I think they take him. I
don't think he will. If he lands here, this is a fantastic pick, though. I had him going 18 to the Lions to replace T.J. Hawkinson.
Yeah, I agree too. I agree that he could have fallen. If he reaches this far, it's crazy.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
But I think the only other team that would pick him would be the Lions.
Yeah,
I don't think any other team would go take him. Well, I will say the Chargers could because of Everett. You don't know how long Everett's going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
So they could. There's 2 teams ahead of them that would pick him. It's the Lions and the Chargers, and really, I think it's just one. I don't see the Chargers doing it. I see the Lions could potentially, though.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if he's there, my God, that's a fantastic pick. All right, the Giants are on the clock. I gotta say, a lot of the people that I didn't think would be here are still here. So for me, I'm looking at, again, who you're playing, throughout. You're playing Jalen Hurts, you're playing Dak Prescott, right?
Mm-hmm.
Potentially Redskins pick up a solid quarterback, down the road, who knows, right? So for me, this guy's a stud. He plays all over the field. He's very versatile. You can plug him in anywhere in your secondary. I think they take Branch. This is a little bit earlier than I wanted to take him. I actually had him falling to the Bengals, but I originally had the Giants taking someone that's already gone. So for me, I think this fits them the best next than they need. So they go Branch, gives them some added help in their secondary.
Yeah. Nice pick. Nice pick. I like Branch. I think he's the best safety in the draft. No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt. Like you said, he can kind of plug anywhere. That fills a lot of needs, man.
Yeah.
Being versatile.
I had him going to the Bengals at 28, but
woo!
Yeah.
It's time to pick him. Dallas, they got to be so pissed Bijan didn't fall them. They got to be so pissed. Okay. Dallas. Out with Dalton Schultz. Incoming, Dalton Kincaid. I think this is a no-brainer. They like utilizing that spot. Yeah. Dalton Kincaid is arguably the best pass-catching tight end in this draft. Even though Mike Mayer just went, I mean, he's more of a run-blocking threat, more physical frame. This is the type of guy they'd be looking for. Can play that flex tight end spot.
Nice pick. So Buffalo Bills, I think this is a team that's just sitting here watching everybody pick, just going, we're getting the guy we want. We're getting the guy we want. We're still going to be amazing next year. I think this is no-brainer. They need a replacement. They go get Torrance, my bad, from Florida. This guy is an absolute animal. He's a stud. This is probably one of the strongest late first-round picks in recent memory, I think. This guy is going to contribute from day one, get a little bit younger at the position. They're happy. They're more than thrilled taking this guy.
Yeah.
It fits their biggest need. And honestly, the next closest person at that position, it's not even close. This guy is an absolute freak. So they take Torrance at 27, and they're smiling. They're enjoying it. They're loving that pick.
Those bastards. The rich get richer, baby.
Yep.
Cincinnati. What is this, 28?
28.
All right. It's got to stop at some point. Who the hell is going to take Miles Murphy? These guys right here. These guys are taking Miles Murphy. One of the best positions to load up on in the NFL, pass rush. Let's do it.
It's funny. I actually had him going to the Saints at the next pick.
Nah, let's keep him in orange.
So now I've got to jump here a little bit. So, this is interesting because their biggest need was definitely defensive line oriented, right? I felt like, these two guys, Brees and Kainsey, I always fuck that guy's name up. I felt like these two were their best choices, but in my original mock draft, I had Miles Murphy there. It was best available. Like, they were dumb not to take it. So for me, now that he's off the board, you go strengthen your D-line. You take the next best available on the board. Pretty plain and simple. I think it makes their pick easy.
Wonderful.
Eagles are picking for the second time in the first round.
I'm
interested to see who you pick here. I'm interested.
So we already took Bijan. Here we go again. Can you imagine if this guy falls to him? God. They took Jordan Davis last year to play defensive tackle for them. Let's throw this bastard right next to him. Brian Brisset is an absolute freak on the D-line. They're snagging them. They load up on their front seven again. Here we go. This is called let's run it back.
I like it. I had him taking Will McDonald, but I like both picks. I could see both. All right. So Chiefs are on the board, and this one's a head scratcher. For some of y'all, if after I give my pick, you might be like, why would they go ahead and take this guy? So for me, Andy Reid, the Chiefs, they know what they're doing. They're smart. They're always looking to add talent. They're looking for player development. They're looking to go, move on in the future. I think the tight end position for the Chiefs is so valuable. They have Travis Kelce. Picking a guy like Darnell Washington does not take anything away from Kelce. It doesn't say, hey, we're looking to replace you, anything like that. But you got to keep in mind, too, Kelce is getting a little bit older, and Patrick Mahomes is a lot younger than Travis Kelce is. So I think smart pick for them is to continue to build chemistry at that tight end position with Patrick Mahomes because he's fallen in love throwing to his tight end. So I think they go get a freak like Darnell Washington. He's tight end 2, plays behind Kelce, learns the game of football, learns how to run routes. This is a guy that, when Travis Kelce walks away from football, the Chiefs are still going to be relevant.
Man, can you imagine that 12 personnel looks of Kelce and Washington on the field? Washington can be involved in that run game too. So can Kelce. That is a tough team to defend. Christ, rich get richer.
All right,
last pick. Pittsburgh, young quarterback. I don't want him running around like a maniac. Let's throw a tackle in there. Anton Harrison, Oklahoma. That is it. So we got a review here. Okay.
So we've got Bryce Young going number 1 to the Panthers. C.J. Stroud going number 2 to the Texans. The Titans making a franchise historic trade to move up to 3 and take their quarterback of the future, Anthony Richardson.
Yeah. I love that one.
The Colts getting their guy, Will Levis. You never know. They could have wanted Anthony Richardson, but the Titans wanted him a little bit more.
That'll be interesting, that dynamic.
That'll be interesting. Going and getting the best available on the board, and my God, what a talent. They'll be happy with this pick. They wanted a quarterback, but they'll be happy with this pick. Jalen Carter could have went number 1 overall to the Bears. I think it's part of the reason they traded down. They didn't necessarily see that this guy was part of the Bears, history and organization, just what they were looking representation-wise. So I think that was part of the reason they trade down. Raiders getting some much-needed help at DB in an incredible division of quarterbacks. Tyree Wilson, best available edge rusher still on the board for the Falcons. Get after the quarterback, something that they need, put some more pressure on them, force more turnovers. Bears getting the boy in the backyard to help Justin Fields out. Eagles being idiots, taking running back ahead, but getting a guy that's going to impact from day one, help them get back to Super Bowl, getting to the Super Bowl, which is what they're built for right now.
Listen, if the Eagles walk away with Bijan and Brian Brisset,
they're happy.
Oh my God, they're laughing.
The Cardinals trading down and getting exactly what they need. Right, in my trade, I got Henry going to them from the Titans, and then they also go out and get a weapon in Jackson Smith. Give Kyler Murray some extra help. Let that bum Hopkins walk. We got Texans coming around for their second pick of the first round, going with the best cornerback still available, Devin Witherspoon, who's a dog, might I add.
Dog.
Definitely impact that defense from day one. The Jets getting an great O tackle, and Paris Johnson Jr. to help out Aaron Rodgers and his aging legs. The New England Patriots taking a gamble on Joey Porter Jr.
You hate this one. You hate this one.
Is probably my one pick that I don't know, man. I feel like they could have went a couple different options. That's why I had them trading down with the Bucks, because I didn't see a for sure pick for them at 14. So that's why I had them dropping a 19.
It's not like we haven't seen that before. The Patriots will trade back and just get more capital.
I did have them taking Nolan Smith at 19, by the way.
Ooh.
When the Patriots traded down, I had them taking Nolan Smith.
Freak.
Because I didn't feel like he was worth 14, so I was like, they got to trade back down and
Freak.
They're looking. So, Packers getting Jordan Love some much needed help in Quinn Johnson.
I love that pick. I love that pick. That's scary. That is scary.
Washington building up the O-line for their
next guy,
future unknown quarterback. You know, we don't know who they're going to go with, but hey, at least they're going to have a solid O-line by.
Real quick, do you give Sam Howell a shot or no? Next.
Next. Go get who's the big one coming out next year?
You get Williams. You get May.
Yeah, dude, go get Williams. Go tank this year. Go get Williams. You got Deontay Banks going to the Steelers, giving them some much added help in the secondary. Lions got the best D line in the business now, taking Nolan Smith and Jalen Carter and Aiden Hutchinson.
Christ,
God, your quarterback's gonna be having nightmares playing them. The Bucks taking Darnell Wright at OT. They definitely wanted to get somebody at the tackle position. Again, I think they'll probably trade up and get somebody like a Broderick Jones, who's I don't want to say miles ahead of Darnell Wright, but he's certainly a better fit from day one. Seahawks taking a wide receiver, which I totally agree with.
Yeah.
If they don't get a quarterback at 5, they're going to 100% take a wide out at 20. They got to commit to Geno because they can't tank. They can't. They're win now. It's Geno, or maybe they work a deal and get Trey Lance. Who knows? But they're gonna go get wide receiver here.
That'd be
I agree. Chargers gonna also get wide receiver. We got Zay Flowers falling to them. These guys could interchange at 20 and 21.
Absolutely. There's so much hype on Flowers.
I have a good feeling that these two guys will go 20 and 21. Just
bang.
Yeah, they're gonna go back to back. As long as these two teams are still picking at 20 and 21, I think these two guys fall here.
If it falls to Vikings, if either of them fall to Vikings, they're scooping them up. They're scooping them up
for sure. Ravens get some much added help at the edge rusher position. Get a boy from Iowa, big boy from Iowa. Put some pressure on those quarterbacks. Joe Burrow, you gotta put some pressure on Joe Burrow.
Yep.
The Vikings, they're going to go with the best available for their current needs at this point. Both wide receivers they're probably looking at are off the board. They go get Hendon Hooker, redshirt him, get him healthy. He'll come in, take over for Kirk Cousins next year, and they'll be pretty happy with that. I'd say he's probably a more. I don't want to say pro ready. I want to say what I will say is he's probably going to contribute earlier than a guy like Anthony Richardson.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
If you look at next year's stats between Anthony Richardson and Hendon Hooker, I promise you Hendon Hooker's stats will be better than Anthony Richardson's. It's just the knee is probably why he fell so far.
Yeah.
He could have been in that conversation. It's just he's not healthy.
Killing it before he got hurt. Killing it.
Michael Mayer for the Jags makes perfect sense. Get Trevor Lawrence a big body to throw to. He loves throwing to the tight end position. I love it. This is one pick that I was a little meh about. I felt like Branch might go. This might be a little high for Branch, but it fills a need, especially when they're going up against the likes of Dak Prescott and Jalen Hurts. They need some help at the defensive back, and he's the best defensive back on the board at that point.
Yeah, he reminds me of like Landon Collins. Let's pop him right back in. There you go.
Yeah. So I did originally have them taking a defensive lineman here. I did have them actually taking Cansey. However you say that. In my original draft,
I could see that.
But looking at what was on the board, I felt like this made the most sense to help them out. We got a tight end. Dalton for Dalton, going to Dallas, slot right in, be a contributor from day one. This guy could be defensive rookie of the year next year. Slots right into the Bills defense. It's already pretty solid. Contributor from day one. My God, they're happy with that pick. They're smiling, like you said. Rich get richer. Miles Murphy to Clemson. Can't believe not to Clemson, to the Bengals. Can't believe he fell this far. They're going to be happy this man fell to them.
From the Tigers to the Bengals.
Right. That's funny. Tigers to the Bengals. Saints get much added help on the D line. Eagles put a brick wall right back in there on their D line.
Oh God, that D line.
Chiefs are building a tight end for the future. And even hell, they could do a 2 tight end set with this guy and Kelsey. And oh my God, watch out! What defensive back's going to tackle this monster?
That's going to be so tough. With the different wrinkles and formations and tricks and scripts that Andy Reid whips up with 2 tight ends, it's going to be filthy. It's going to be filthy.
Then we got the last man of the first round, Anton Harrison, going to the Steelers. Get some added help to that boy Pickett. Continue his development. So overall, pretty solid. Pretty solid mock draft.
Love it. Love it. Favorite pick. Just give me one favorite pick.
Favorite pick in that. How about I do a favorite pick of yours, and then you do a favorite
Absolutely.
pick of mine?
Absolutely.
So my favorite pick for you. Let me just look through this again because I got to remember which one were yours. My favorite pick for you. Hold on, let me see. Where are we looking? So Stroud, Levis, Carter, Tyree Wilson, Bijan, Devin Witherspoon, Joey Porter, Broderick Jones, Nolan Smith, Addison, Van Ness, Michael Mayer, Dalton, Miles Murphy. Honestly, my favorite pick of yours, and you're probably going to be like, you wouldn't think that. Honestly, my favorite pick was Jordan Addison. It was Jordan Addison. I liked his film more than I like Zay Flowers. So I hope that they don't make the dumb pick and go after Zay Flowers. Even though I think Zay Flowers is actually higher on the draft boards than Jordan Addison.
He is soaring up the draft boards.
I think Jordan Addison's a better pick, though. Honestly.
Yeah.
So for me, that's my favorite pick. I think he contributes from day one, and like you said, you compared him to Lockett, who's a guy that's already been in their system. Like it's a no-brainer pick. If it's there.
Plug and play. It's going to be so easy.
So, all right.
And I'm going to keep it in the same position. Quentin Johnston to the Packers. My God, I'm just so enamored by the potential to have that duo of Watson and Johnston, okay, 2 outside threats, and you slot in Romeo Doubs in the slot. Oh my goodness!
Who did you originally have the Packers taking?
I think in Jigba, maybe he falls. Okay. Maybe
this is what shook it up for you was this Cardinals Colts trade.
Yeah,
that's what shook it up because you probably had the Titans or something taking them, or I don't know who you had taken them, but this shakes up the draft for sure.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see where they go.
I don't know why, but I don't like. Obviously, there's no insider knowledge or anything like that. I live in Tennessee. They don't tell me shit. But for some reason, like out of all the trade scenarios I was looking through, I think this one makes the most sense.
It does.
They have to go get a quarterback.
Yeah, I agree. And I was thinking maybe Levis, he falls into that Tennessee, hey, they probably been there. He could.
But my reasoning for the trade is, again, Richardson has more of a ceiling. They want a player with more of a ceiling because they know they're not going to compete right now.
100%. It's worth the risk.
If they were in the middle of competing, they'd go get Levis, right?
I agree.
They'd be 11, they get Levis, but there's still a risk that Seattle would take them, right? There's a lot of mock drafts that have Seattle taking Richardson or Levis.
Yeah. So, yeah, they could. 5.
I think it makes sense for the Titans. I think it makes sense for the Cardinals to do this trade.
All right. Well, that wraps it up, man. 2 jabronis took over the NFL draft. Any words of wisdom before we bounce here?
When in doubt, trade down. You don't know, trade down. Go get draft capital, come back next year, redo it. There's a lot of times where teams just pick people because it's the best guy on the board, but necessarily doesn't mean it's the best guy for them. So, trade down. So I think we didn't do a whole lot of trades. I really do think the Patriots will trade down. And I also think that you could also see Ravens trading down. I could see that. I could see the Cowboys trading up. I could also see the Saints trading up as well. And then the last one for me was I could also see the Texans trading down to get more picks. What they could do is they could trade their pick 12 for 17 and 32 from the Steelers.
Oh boy!
I think it's possible that could happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Again, most likely trade scenario is that, in my mind, is the Cardinals Tennessee.
Real quick, as a homer, do you think Bears trade back? Now that we've already seen it once, do they trade back again?
If they are content with either Skronsky or Paris Johnson Jr., if they're content with either of those guys, I could see them trading down. If they're like, we want Peter, we want Johnson Jr., like we want one of them, they stay put at 9 because that middle of the first round, that's when those tackles are going to start going.
They're going to go. I agree.
So,
I agree.
If they trade down, I would only see them maybe dropping to like 13 with the Jets or something like that. I mean, the Packers want this pick for Rodgers. I don't think it's going to happen because the deal's not going to get done. Best case scenario for the Jets, the Rodgers deal's after this.
Yeah.
So then that pick's irrelevant.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I could see them trading down to like 13, or hell, they could even do the same thing the Texans are doing. They could trade with the Steelers. The Steelers could go up to 9, and the Bears could 17 and 32. Like,
that's been talked about. That's been talked about.
You know, that's a team to look out for sure is the Steelers because they have those 2 first-round picks.
Yeah.
You know, you could see the fucking Seahawks if they're really like, dude, we want Richardson, we want Levis. You could see the Seahawks taking 20 and 5 and calling up the Cardinals. Hey, here's 20 and 5, dude, for 3. If you're the Cardinals, you're like, no shit, I'm going to do that.
Of course.
No shit.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
If that happens at 5, you know, the Cardinals they're not going to get a wide receiver at 5.
Well, you get either
else, and then
Anderson or Carter. Shit.
Yeah, and then they'll risk going to get a wideout at 26. There will be wideouts at 26. So
yeah.
Or not 26, 20. Like they'll get a wide receiver at 20. So
you're gonna get one of those guys.
But again, at the same time, that's division rivals, so you never know, right? Some of those guys hate dealing with each other. They hate doing trades. So I think this will probably be one of the more interesting drafts. Just the fact we haven't really had 4 quarterback prospects that could go 1, 2, 3, 4.
It's crazy.
When's the last time that happened? So
like I was just telling you last year, right? Kenny Pickett was the first quarterback off the board, the most expensive position in all of sports, most valuable position in all of sports. Yeah. He went at 20. 1 quarterback in the first round last year. So now we have 4 guys that